Welcome to this edition of Business Video Trends on TMCnet. I'm your host, Steve Vonderhaar. This time we're talking about video podcasting and business communications, as we see in this slide, representing results from a survey of 1,212 corporate executives conducted by Interactive Media Strategies in the second quarter 2008. We see that the deployment of video podcasting still is relatively light in the enterprise. Of those surveyed, 15% reporting that their organizations have deployed some form of video podcasting, another 15% saying that they plan to do so sometime within calendar 2008. Now, before we saw podcasting results like these, we saw a lot of optimism related to results that didn't pan out. So take that 15% in 2008 with a grain of salt. Not necessarily the case that we're going to see 30% of companies deploying video podcasting in 2009 when we see the survey results in the future. But nevertheless, this does show the relative levels of interest that are associated with video podcasting on an overall basis. Now, as one would expect, those organizations that use online multimedia more frequently are more likely to use video podcasting as well. As we see in this slide, those companies that deploy online multimedia on a frequent basis are far more likely to actually be deploying video podcasting capabilities. Among those organizations with more than 100 online multimedia events being deployed annually, 31% of that group reporting that they also deploy video podcasting. 17% reporting that they're interested in deploying the technology in 2008, and another 29% saying that they have no definite plans for deployment, but do have interest in sometime in the future looking at the issue of video podcasting. As we look down this chart and see the frequency of online multimedia deployment decrease, so too does the interest decrease in video podcasting. Still pretty strong, though, among those organizations deploying between 50 and 100 online multimedia events per year. 29% of that group saying that they deploy video podcasting capabilities. But when you get under 50, you start to see the adoption of video podcasting start to wane significantly. Among that group of companies deploying between 10 and 49 online multimedia events per year, 18% saying that they deploy online video podcasting capabilities as well. And then all the way down to the bottom, among those companies deploying less than 10% a year, only one in 10 are actually deploying video podcasting capabilities as well. But that should be expected. Generally, we see adoption of advanced technologies commonplace among those organizations that frequently use online multimedia. But as we go to the next slide, what we see here is that there's also a strong link between the relative levels of on-demand usage and the adoption of video podcasting. In this chart, we represent results from companies that have deployed online multimedia and report certain levels of usage for on-demand capabilities. So the top line of this chart represents those organizations that say that 3/4 or 75% or more of their online multimedia events are experienced on an on-demand basis. The middle chart is kind of the mid-tier users saying between 1/4 and 3/4 of their online multimedia events that are experienced are delivered on demand. And at the bottom, we see those companies that are more interested in live webcasting. Less than 1/4 of their online multimedia events are experienced on an on-demand basis. So what we see here in this slide is that those organizations with a heavy emphasis on on-demand capabilities are much more likely to be embracing video podcasting as well. 30% of those organizations using on-demand capabilities on the most frequent basis, saying that they also use video podcasting. In contrast, as we step down, we see lower levels of on-demand usage also correlate with lower levels of video podcasting deployment as well. 22% in the mid-tier of on-demand usage saying they use video podcasting, and at the very bottom we see 12% of those organizations that are using on-demand less than 1/4 of the time saying that they also embrace video podcasting capabilities. So what this begins to tell us is that there is a correlation or link between on-demand capabilities and the adoption of video podcasting. Those organizations that are most interested in video podcasting are also those who have an affinity towards consuming on-demand content. This is particularly important for organizations and vendors who are focused on delivering content management tools and services. What we see here is that those who are using on-demand capabilities in a significant way also have a significant interest in adopting video podcasting as well. Content management solutions have to be aware of this situation and be able to offer solutions that address the need and demand for video podcasting in these on-demand centric webcasting organizations. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Business Video Trends on TMC Net. I'm Steve Onderhaar. Thanks for your time.